I'm not going to recap the whole fucking thing for you. It's been in the news for 2 days. I don't know where you've been. I don't know what you've been doing. They're started, of course, with the rally, the stupid little tiki torch rally. I'm going to be showing pictures here on the video version of the show as well. The stupid little dumbasses with their tiki torches and that thing, that white supremacist, racist rally, whatnot, led to violence, so on and so forth, clashes between left and right wing, so-called. Brings up a few thoughts. First of all, racism itself. Those of you who know me politically, you know I'm a libertarian, I'm an individualist. Racism is the antithesis of both those things. Racism is collectivism. Racism is saying that everybody fits into one mold. Now on this show, I'll talk about, Democrats and Republicans and liberals and millennials and so on and so forth, or men and women or whatever. I'm talking in a general sense. Generally speaking, if I say progressives like to do this, it's in a general, not specific way. That's not the way racists view things. Racists view groups very specifically as whole units. All black people do this. All white people should be like this. All white people should have this. All black people should do this. So on and so forth. It's collectivism, and it's bullshit. As I said, it's not a particularly brave stance to take about something. I'm against racism. Yeah, there you go. I know, right? Anyway, a lot of shit was going on in Charlottesville. A lot of protests, counter-protests, violence, extreme violence. This dumbass who grew up just around here that drove the car through the crowd. It's one thing if your car is pinned in by people you feel may be threatening you, they're keeping you from getting somewhere, whatever. I mean, you're going to have to decide whether or not you're going to use your car as a weapon. If you just plow your car into a bunch of fucking people because you don't like them to further some political end, it's terrorism. And apparently that's what, this guy's going to be, they're looking at domestic terrorism charges, so on and so forth. There's some gruesome fucking pictures online. I mean, it's just really, really crazy shit. So, of course, again, I'm against violence. I'm against violence, period. Again, not a brave stance to take. Here's the problem. Whether you're a white supremacist, you're a Nazi, you're a communist, Antifa, Black Lives Matter, any of these groups, any time you use violence to pursue your political ends, whether you're mowing down people in your fucking Charger or you're setting a liquor store on fire, you're in the wrong. You're in the wrong. If you're harming people, if you're destroying property in the name of some political thing that you want, some political ideal, you're a fucking terrorist. None are any better than the other. Saying that communists suck doesn't mean you think fascists suck any less. It's just the way it is. They both fucking suck. Antifa, your fucking hammer and sickle flags, your Nazi flags, your Confederate flags. It's all the same form of collectivist bullshit. My group's cool, your group sucks. So your group should die, and my group should have all the power. I reject all of that. Groups shouldn't have fucking power. Individuals should have their rights protected by the fucking government, and that's it. Your property rights, your personal rights, your natural rights should be protected by the government, but that's it. Well, my group should get special treatment for this. My group should get special treatment for that. No. You can't bark about fucking special treatment in one sentence and equality in the next. They don't go together. Special treatment is not equality. I know people will say, well, white people have had, hundreds of years of domination. Okay. Well, if you think that giving another group power over everybody else is going to even things out, well, you're going to be sorely disappointed. Because who decides when it's evened out? Who decides when enough's enough? Who decides when that group has to give up power and then give it to the next oppressed group? You see where I'm going for this? It's the logic falls apart. It's the same way with speech is violence. When people say speech is violence, it's fucking retarded. Speech is not violence. Speech is speech. Violence is violence. That's why they have two different words for the fucking things. Violence is violence. The pictures I'm showing right now, there's violence going on. It's a result of violence. It's not speech. If I say, hey, fuck you, it's not the same as hitting you in the head with a brick. It's just not. And there's people say, well, you're allowed to punch a Nazi. Well, here's the problem with that. This sounds good in the service. Sure. I want to punch Nazis. We all want to punch Nazis. Absolutely. I've read a ton about World War II and about Hitler. It was fucking horrific. Everything about the ideology, from state control of everything to the restriction and trampling of individual rights to the outright fucking genocide of whole groups of people. Again, collectivism, racism. I'm against all of that. Yes, we all want to punch Nazis, but here's the fucking problem. Who decides who's a Nazi? Who decides who's enough of a Nazi to get punched? Who decides who punches them? I guess the puncher decides if they're a Nazi and if they should get punched. What if I'm walking down the street and a black guy is like, oh, fuck Whitey? Do I get to punch him? Do I not get to punch him because he's not a Nazi, even though I feel threatening coming from him because of his hate speech? If he says all white people should die, do I get to punch him then? Should I punch him? Who decides if I'm allowed to punch him? If I punch him, will I be punished later for punching him? Who decides that? Once you pass the line where you say speech is violence, then whose speech? And who decides? That can be used as a justification to punch any motherfucker you want. Have you ever heard of those of you who know the phrase throwing communists from helicopters, you know what I'm talking about. I don't know how to explain it to you. Go Google it. Throwing communists from helicopters. If someone can punch a Nazi, why can't someone who hates communists throw a communist out of a helicopter? Why? In my estimation, they're both violence. And as far as racists, quote unquote, speaking out, let them speak out. That's how we as a society identify and shun them. That's how it works. But once you punch somebody, well, you give them a right to punch you. If you say I can punch a Nazi anytime I want, well, then a Nazi's going to assume that he can get punched at any time, so he can just start throwing fucking fists at anybody. And if he says, I hate Nazis, well, he can punch them. But then they'll come back and say, well, no, Nazis can't do that. We can do that to Nazis. But again, who decides who's a Nazi? Well, if I call someone a Nazi and I punch them, now we go to court. Do I get to prove that, well, if I can prove in the court of law that they are indeed a Nazi, they have Adolf Hitler trading cards or something in their attic, then I can get away with it. It's not the way that shit works. Speech is speech. Violence is violence. And violence in the name of political ideals, no matter who it comes from, no matter what side it comes from, is terrorism and has no place in a civilized society. Again, I don't think these are brave or somehow groundbreaking opinions. You know, what happened in Charlottesville is... And people say, well, it's because of Trump. Well, this shit happened before Trump. There was a poor race relations under Obama. And in case you don't remember, Ferguson, etc. In case you weren't, aware. But it's just, and it feeds, the media likes to feed it, the politicians like to feed it because they all benefit from it. They all benefit from one group hating another. We are not groups. We are not groups of people. We are people. We are fucking individuals. That's it. As far as racism itself, I grew up around white trash. I've been around white trash all my life. Trust me when I tell you there is nothing inherently supreme or better about the white race. And there's not. No race is better than another by virtue of them being that race. That's what racism is. It says white people are better than black people. Black people are better than Asians. Asians are better than white people. Black people are better than white people. Hispanics are better than black people. It's all racism. You're basing it on some stupid fucking metric that this person was born this race, so this is the way they're going to act, and this is how they're inferior to people who weren't born that way, the people that were born the other way. I don't know. I mean, I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover. Violence is violence. And you can't just pick and choose who you're going to punch. Now, if a Nazi comes at you and you feel threatened, well, yeah, then you get to punch him and you take it to court. If they brandish a weapon at you, shoot them. Shoot them in the fucking face. But you can't just say, oh, I think that person's a Nazi, therefore I get to punch them. No. It's just not the way it works. And some people may not like that opinion. I don't care. Come punch me about it. See? You don't like my opinion. You think it's wrong. You think you should be able to punch people if you feel like it. So punch me. Would you be breaking a law if you punch me? Who decides that? Who decides if you get away with punching me? And if you punch me, who says I'm not going to punch you back? Who says I'm not going to pull out a weapon and shoot you in the face? See where that leads? Speech is not violence. Speech is speech. Violence is violence. Racism is stupid and an ignorant form of collectivism. And that's it. It's the bottom line.